Hello everyone, my name is Alba and welcome back to the Lovecraftian Video Game Retrospective and welcome to Arkham Nightmares. Arkham Nightmares is a top-down adventure game with some elements of puzzle, action and roguelike game thrown in. In this game you take the role of a German psychosurgeon and your goal is to piece together the journal of a suicide victim, and you do that by forming a connection with the inmates of the eponymous Arkham Sanatorium. The game essentially has two phases. You've got the day phase where you collect items, solve some minor puzzles, talk to people, do stuff like this, and try to form a connection with the inmates. And you've got the night phase, which is essentially a nightmare phase. It takes place on the same map, but it's a dark and horrific version of the same map, and you have to close portals. During that phase you will actually encounter supernatural creatures, and if you run into them too often, your sanity meter will be drained and you will eventually go completely insane. But there's actually a tactical advantage of losing some sanity because it might change some aspects of the game, not only visually, but also with regard to gameplay. The gameplay wise, the game's quite simple. You've got usual arrow key / WASD controls. You interact with people and you use items from your inventory, and that's pretty much all. That's pretty much all the game needs. So the controls are very straightforward and work quite well. But there's one exception, and that's that you can get stuck relatively easily. It doesn't happen all the time, but the problem is more that once you do get stuck, you have either the option of waiting until nightfall, when you automatically get teleported to the nightmare phase, or just reset the game, and neither of them is a good option. And the problem with that is that if you waste too much time not doing anything, just sitting around until you essentially get unstuck, then you lose too much time. And if you lose time, you have to go through too many nightmare phases, and then you lose too much sanity, and this makes this game really, really hard. And while you don't get stuck all the time, you do get stuck often enough that it's really a major problem in this game. It's not a complete deal breaker, but be aware of that if you try that game yourself. With regard to graphics, this game is a little bit mixed. I generally like the graphics, but my main problem is that they look a little bit thrown together. So none of the elements look really bad, but some of the items are very pixelated. A lot of the styles crash quite violently, and overall it never really felt like the game had any cohesive style to me. It still doesn't look bad, but unfortunately for a game that's supposed to be atmospheric, that's a little bit of a downer. With regard to level design, you essentially only have the one island and with the sanatorium on it, but it's actually good because you have to talk to people several times, you have to recollect items, your inventory is only so large, so you have to make choices what you want to pick up, and essentially more of a game of getting familiar with your environment and not really exploring a huge world, so that actually works quite well. With regard to music and sound, the soundtrack is quite interesting. It's a gramophone soundtrack, sounds very 1920s. It can get a little bit annoying, but I fix that by just turning down the volume a little bit. The voice acting in this game, if this game does have voice acting, to be honest, I found it to be really, really annoying. And that's because the main character speaks with the most cliche German accent you can imagine, and that's coming from a guy who actually has a German accent. But I know I've been pretty negative here, but I still like the basic idea of the game quite a lot. This adventure game with some action phases, where you essentially race against time and have to complete that diary before you go completely insane. And it fit the Lovecraftian element quite well, but I think there's a little bit too much tackiness and poorly done graphics in this game for this game to be really Lovecraftian and atmospheric. It is a free game though, so I do recommend that you give it a shot. I'll leave a download link for you in the description. And I've been a little bit negative here, but I could really see that this game has potential, and if a couple of things were fixed, this would actually be a pretty decent game, and I still like the idea quite a bit. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time. Take care and goodbye.